Well, hey everybody, my name is Johnny. I'm a believer I struggle with alcoholism and codependency, and Pastor John and Cheryl are having a little bit of a hard time with their feed, so I'm going to jump on here and just see what we can do. So if you get on, if you find me here, go ahead and say hello. And yes, so sorry about that. As you can tell by my shirt, I was not prepared to be on camera tonight, so that's always fun. But hey, we're so glad that you're with us tonight. I think Pastor John and Cheryl are going to continue to try to get on, and so if they do, I will jump off and we will get going back on them. So if you see them back on, let me know, and like I said, I will do my best to jump off and to kick it back over to them. So good to see so many of you jumping on now, so thanks for being on there. Thanks for saying hello. It's good to see so many of you, familiar faces and people that have been joining us for a while. If it's your first time joining us, we do these Facebook Live videos 7 days a week, and we're bound just to have some technical troubles every once in a while. So tonight was one of the nights, and so thank you for being flexible and for joining us here. Because I wasn't super planning to come on tonight, I don't have a bunch prepared, which is fine. I can tell you about the summit coming up. It will be July 30th and 31st. It's going to be online only, $49 a person. If you go to celebraterecovery.com or crsummits.com, you can register there. If you register 5 or more people at a time, for every 5 people, you'll get 1 free registration. So go ahead and do that there. So I do feel like there's a lot of you on. One thing I'm going to do is I do want to explain the shirt. So when lockdown first happened, one of the kind of family events we did was we got tie-dye shirt kits, and we just took a little bit of a morning and we made some shirts, and it's been kind of a fun thing. Whenever we wear them, one of us or 2 of us will wear it, during the day or something, and it's just kind of a fun, like, oh yeah, remember that. And I think that that it will serve to be a reminder. Not that I want to be reminded of a lot of the things that are happening this time. Maybe like me, you're a little bit over the lockdown and the quarantine and all those kinds of things, and so. But there are some really good positive things that have come out of that as well. And I think that that's one of the things that really I think is important for us to keep focused on. What we call our ministry Celebrate Recovery. And I think it's really important that we remember that there are a lot of things that are hard about recovery. There are a lot of things that we wrestle with in recovery, and that's just true. Recovery is a hard process, but there are things worth celebrating even through all of that time. And so I just think it's important for us to find things that we can celebrate, find things that we can look at in our recovery that we can say, today I had a little victory. Maybe I didn't have a huge victory, but it was a little victory. And so, okay, it looks like John and Cheryl are back up. Yeah. So that's going to do it for me. I really want you to hear from them. So I'm going to close this, go visit, stay here, or go to go back.
Maybe don't get off yet.
Okay, I'm going to stay on just for a second because I think they might still be having a little bit of technical difficulties, but
I think you got interrupted again.
if you, so I'm going to stay here just in case, because they're still having a hard time. And even in the comments here, I see people saying things like that they're struggling today, that they're hurting, that they're feeling isolated and alone, all of those different things. And I understand that. And so what I want to encourage you to do is to talk to somebody about that, share openly with someone about that, and look for help in those areas. And then when you find small victories, celebrate them. I think too often we look at things like, oh, when I get a year of recovery, I'll celebrate that year, instead of celebrating each day of recovery. Or when I finally don't blow it with my anger, I'll celebrate. But we don't give ourselves the small things that are worth celebrating, those little keystone areas. So I just want to encourage you to find those things that you can celebrate today. Lots of great questions about Celebrate Recovery or about the summit, and so I just want to make sure that I address them. As far as a possible start time, I believe we're looking at about 8:30 Pacific time. So depending on where you're at around the world, you have to adjust for that. One of the cool things about the summit is that we're going to have it available for 48 hours after it airs live. So you'll be able to watch it if it's a little bit too late, or depending on what time of the year or time of day it is. Somebody said if somebody from Canada, can they join? Of course they can. All around the world, it'll be available online to view that way. My wife's in the other room. Jenny, are they still frozen? Are they on?
I don't see them on still. I keep looking.
Okay, we don't see them on, so I'm gonna keep going. Let me see if I can just kind of go through some.
Oh, I just got it. Okay, hold on. I'll check.
Okay. Let's see. We're checking to see if they're on, because if they are, I would rather you hear from them.
I just texted that they are, but I want to verify that for you.
Okay. I think that they may be on, but we just want to make sure.
There's all kinds of confusion.
Yeah, we're a little confused on it right now. So what we may do here is I may encourage you to do a couple of things. I want to answer one more question, and then I'm going to log off in case they can get back on. The thing I want to tell you is that there are a lot of churches. President Trump has asked for churches to be reopened, and depending on your state and your situation, that could look like a number of different things. Here's what's important. The DNA of Celebrate Recovery says that we follow the guidance of a local church. So what I would encourage you to do is to ask your pastor and your elders, your leadership, what they're going to do, and then follow what the church is going to do. So there may be another CR in your town that's doing things different. It's going to be up to each individual church. So that's number one. Number two, as soon as you can open, I would encourage you to stop your CRCR online groups. Those are a temporary solution. And so if we can meet in person, we want to meet in person. The CRCR online groups will not continue once your group can open up. Now, there are some people that are going to say, well, what if it's hard to get out? What if? And we can answer some of those questions on an individual basis later. If there's somebody that is at risk, or if there's something happening, there may be some solutions we can have. But for most of us, the idea is going to be to get back in person as fast as possible. And I don't know about you, but I can't wait to be around RCR again. I can't wait to be around people in person for recovery. 2 weeks ago we had or maybe it was 3 weeks ago, maybe it was 6 years ago. I don't know. Time doesn't mean anything to me anymore. But a while ago, a couple weeks ago, we had a drive-through chip ceremony, and it was amazing. Last week we had a drive-through communion church-wide, and it was great. But it wasn't the same as being together in a group. It wasn't the same as being all in open share groups or step studies, or just worshiping together and doing those things. And so right now things are okay because we have we're doing what we can do, but as soon as we can be back in person, we want to be in person. So the question was, if CR opens, can we keep doing the CRCR online groups? The answer is going to be no. And I understand there's going to be some of you that are going to have what ifs. You're going to have special questions, and you're going to have, special idea, situations and things like that. And that's where somebody like your state rep is really going to come in handy. Your state rep is somebody who is a volunteer who wants to help you start and grow your Celebrate Recovery. If you go to celebraterecovery.com, you can find your state rep, and you can ask for some of their help as you're figuring some of those things out. But we want to get people in person as soon as possible. We want to get people back in groups as soon as we can. And so that's kind of where we're heading for that. And some of the things that we were talking about when we first started this quarantine, I think will work in that case for people who don't feel comfortable going to group or are in high risk categories, the staying connected with other people, and some of those things as well. And so that's just some things to keep in mind. It sounds like John and Cheryl are not able to get back on, so I'll try to stay on for a few more minutes because I love this time together, and I love that we're able to spend this time together every night, and so it's really exciting. There have been some more questions about the summits, and I'm not the guy to answer some of those questions, like are we going to need a log on? I don't know how all that's going to work. I do know that we're going to do as much as we can. Just trying to see what we can't profit from it if we share personally in our own. Yeah, Rose, I'm not sure what you mean about we can't profit off of it. We don't profit from anything in Celebrate Recovery if you're in person in an open share group, or if you're on Zoom in an open share group. But I'm sorry that you're upset. Let's see. Let's see what else. All right, so just a lot of questions about the summit, a lot of different things that people are commenting about Zoom and things like that. And here's the deal. Our Zoom groups are, like I said, they're temporary and they're a way for us to stay connected. I think they're helping people and keeping people in recovery. But I truly believe that recovery works best face-to-face, person-to-person. Are we able to gather in small groups to view the summit sessions? So that's a great question. It's going to depend on your area and your local guidelines and how things are going. So if you're in an area that's more open and they're allowing you to meet together in groups, then sure, I think that would be great. What we're going to ask is that everybody would have a ticket to the summit, just like you would if you were attending the summit in person. But you know, if you can get together that way, that would be great. Yes, the summit does cost money. It costs $49 a person, and the fifth person or the sixth person is free if you sign up 5 or more people. The reason for that is that things cost money. So bandwidth costs money to get the cameras and the things that we need to produce it and send it out cost money. And so they're just things that we have to charge for. We're making it as affordable as possible. But that's just the way things work sometimes. But attending Celebrate Recovery is free. These nightly Facebook Live sessions we do is free. And so, you know, we're doing everything we can to make it as easy as possible to be a part of Celebrate Recovery. And there are just some things that happen. Again, I don't know how we're going to verify the tickets. Again, I'm not the guy for that. I don't know. If I was involved in that, things would be very, very bad because I would not, I'm not good at that kind of stuff. Let's see. If Saddleback opens up but our church leadership decides we need to stay closed, will the Facebook Live end? As far as our nightly Facebook Live 7 nights a week, I don't know how long we'll continue to do this. Our goal is going to be that as soon as things open and more people are able to go back to their Celebrate Recovery, we want you to be back in your Celebrate Recovery. We want you to be back in person with people. And so these nightly CRs Facebook Lives have sort of tried to fill that gap a little bit so that when you're not going to your Celebrate Recovery and you're not doing some of those things, you have this nightly way to connect with others. And unlike tonight where I'm kind of doing things off the top of my head because I wasn't planning to be back on. We've had people who are our national team and others who have been doing really amazing devotional and question and answer times and things that I think add to our recovery. But our hope is that you're going to be able to get back in person as soon as possible. So when will this end? I don't know. as long as we need to, we'll do it 7 nights a week. But I don't know the answer to that. I would imagine at some point, hopefully, we will be able to back off it a little bit. I know that many of you love it, and I love it as well. But we'll just have to see how it goes. I don't know. Let's see. We had our first meeting since the shutdown past Friday. It was great. I bet it was great, and I can't wait until we're able to get back together in person to see each other and to at least stand close to each other if we're not allowed to hug yet, and kind of give air high fives or something. But I can't wait until we're able to get back together in person and see each other in the same room and stand arm, next to each other as we go through recovery. I can't wait to be with the people in our groups and to do those things. So I'm excited for that time. So I'm glad to hear that it went well. I can't wait to tell you the same thing. I can't wait to say how great it is at Saddleback as well. So I'm a little jealous because I think California, my wife in the other room just said she's jealous. I think California is going to be the last state to let us do anything. So maybe here's some things that we can do as we kind of close this time together. The first thing I would ask you to do is to pray for our leadership, government-wise, that things would open up at the right times, and that the decisions that need to be made will be made that'll be best for everybody. The second thing we can pray for is that maybe we need to reverse this, that the virus goes away and we're able to get back to our normal lives. Pray for our leadership, and then pray for our ministries, not just Celebrate Recovery, but different groups that are at our churches, and things that we're gonna be opening and things that we're going to be looking at, that God is going to do an amazing thing through this time. I truly believe that God is going to use this lockdown, this quarantine time, as a way to prepare us for the next thing that he wants to do. And so we can be a part of that, or we can watch it happen. And I would encourage you to be a part of it, to look for areas that you can be used in. And so one of the things I know is that a lot of people, their hurts, hands, and habits are being exposed during this time. It's really hard to pretend like everything is okay and that you have it all together when all this stuff is going on around you. And we know that, relapse rates are rising. We know that alcoholism rates are rising. We know that porn usage is exponentially growing. We know that depression and anxiety, suicide attempts, all of those things are going up and up and up. And so we know that there are going to be a number of people who maybe never would have thought they needed to go through Celebrate Recovery until this happened. And so our churches are going to be a place where people are going to come to get that healing, and Celebrate Recovery is going to be a part of that. And so God may be preparing you and your church and people around you to meet the need of people when they come home. And I think that's an important thing to think about. Maybe your church has had a little bit of a hard time with Celebrate Recovery. Maybe it hasn't been following the DNA, or it hasn't been using the 7 keys, or things like that haven't been running very well. Well, this is a great time to evaluate that. Mac Rodney and I at the summit are going to be talking about how to relaunch your Celebrate Recovery after lockdown. And so if you're in that boat, which many of us are, I would encourage you to come check that part of the summit out. We are, I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And please join us again tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern, for another Facebook Live. Hopefully the person sharing or people sharing will be more prepared than I was. What's that? Sure, my wife's going to tell me who it's going to be. But I hope that you'll come back and join us tomorrow night for Facebook Live.
It's going to be Sabrina and Sheila.
So Sabrina and Sheila will be tomorrow night. I know they will be more prepared, and so pray for their technology that it works. And just thank you again for joining us. And as you are going through this, one last thing I'm going to encourage you to do is to, if God has put anyone on your heart over the last day or so, and you think I should check on them, I should call them, text them, knock on their door and stand 6 feet away and see how they're doing, I want to encourage you to do that. I want to encourage you to pick up the phone at least and call somebody if God has put them on your heart, because that may be God saying this person needs you, and he may use you to help somebody who's struggling. And so I would just encourage you to do that. If you do and you feel like you can share about that, I would encourage you to do that as well. And thanks again for joining us tonight, and we will see you tomorrow night. Bye, everybody.